Greetings YouTube. Today we're looking at a Brusletto Puukko. This is the Hunter model. The first thing you're going to notice is that the sheath is really quite nice. I like the silver fittings here. It's got a nice kind of a D-ring thing going on there for hanging from your belt. Rivets. Nice stitching. And it does have a plastic lining which starts about here and goes all the way down so that it's not going to poke through the sheath, which is a nice feature. But it gives it a nice finished look. One of the things that drew me to it was, besides the knife itself, was the fact that I really like the sheath. So let's take this out. So this is the, it's got the classic blood runnel, but only on one side of this. I'm going to turn this around because I am right-handed. And it says Hunter here. Let me see if I can actually get the... Yeah, can you see that? It says Hunter right there. And if you come in like here, see if I can get that. Yes, Brusletto Gilo, made in Norway. I don't know what Gilo means. I bought this at an estate sale, and I don't think the guy knew what he had, because I paid 15 bucks for this, and I did a little research online, and it's no longer produced, and it's probably on the edge of vintage. I don't know if it would be properly vintage or not. It's not an antique. But they're running for like 115 bucks online when they are available, and I paid $15. So I know the guy that runs the thing. I don't think he would have sold this to me if he'd known it was something that was no longer produced. In fact, we had no price on it when I was looking at it in the little display case. And I said, "What are you asking for that?" He said, "Oh, there's no price on it. It's pretty plain. I'll have it 15 bucks." I said, "Okay." And he trusted me enough to carry it around when I looked at the rest of the estate sale, because I deal with them on a regular basis. Now, what attracted me to this was I really liked this. It's a nice feature right in here. It's kind of a guard here. The guard is kind of a minimalist description. But a nice wood handle. They call it, I think in the ad they called it a burl. It really isn't burled in any way, shape, or form, but it's still nice. This is a stick style handle, because this does not come all the way out, so it's not a full tang. So it probably comes down to like that. There could possibly be a rivet or something in there, or this could just be all press fit or glued together. I'm not 100% sure. And the fitting isn't perfect. As you can see that little gap in there on one side of the blade. It isn't perfect. It is a thin knife, not thin, but it does still have a taper to the tip. It's a flat grind to a secondary bevel, and even I haven't touched this up, and it still came with a relatively decent edge. Now, this particular estate sale, the guy had a lot of hunting and fishing stuff. Seriously, the guy was really into hunting and fishing, bow hunting, into firearms, into fishing, and he had quite a few knives. And I get the feeling that the guy at the estate sale was very much the pricing things like, if it is big, it must be worth more, because there was another Puukko, but it was the largest Puukko I've ever seen. It was like a Puukko that bordered on like small machete, and he was like 45 bucks for it. I thought it was frankly kind of ugly, because it just looked like almost like a caricature of a Puukko. But this looked much more reasonable and looked like a size that would fit a real person's hand and could be useful in the field. Now, this hand, I find this very comfortable. I don't have particularly big hands. My palms are actually pretty standard size, but my fingers are short, stumpy, and conical. So this swell is like on the maximum side for me. That's it. I don't want a knife that's any bigger than this, but I still find it very comfortable, and the wood gives it a nice warm feeling, literally, but also like aesthetically, it's a nice warm feeling to it. But this would also work for a person with a larger hand, because you can see there's still quite a bit of space on there. So a person with a larger hand could easily use this knife. This, I think, is aluminum, but I'm not positive. Aluminum has been used many times in knives, and in fact, I own I have no idea where it is. I should hunt it down. I have a hunting it down because it's a hunting knife. Hunt it down, but I have a hunting knife that actually has lucite and aluminum rings on the handle with an aluminum butt cap and an aluminum guard, because at the time it was made, those were new materials. So that was kind of an exotic thing to put onto a knife, which was, just made it out of the ordinary. In fact, at one point, Napoleon pissed off the populace because he'd had a diamond and aluminum piece of jewelry made for Josephine, and at the time, aluminum was like worth more than platinum because it was a new material and it was difficult to produce at that time. They had not mastered industrialization of aluminum production. So this could have been from like a point where aluminum was on knives was a novelty. So maybe something came out of like the 60s, but I'm not positive on this. But it's in really nice shape. I was surprised when I got it. It was kind of dull. I'm like, oh, I hope that's not too bad. And I just washed it. I'm like, whoop, it came right back. It was just muck and things on the blade that were obscuring it. It also probably helped drive the price down because the guy thought it wasn't worth much. So, and it's really shiny. I mean, you're looking at me in the background, and there's a picture on the back wall. Is that the picture on the back wall? No, that's I think it might be my lantern. Yeah, it's the lantern. My lamp with the chain under it. But yeah, there's the camera. Hi, camera. I really like this overall shape, though. It's almost hard to film because it's so reflective. I really like this shape. It would be an ideal just light-duty camp knife for food prep. Even you can do things like light duties like feather boarding, so making feather sticks rather for your fire and things like that. So I would definitely think of this as a useful camp tool, and lots of people are doing car camping and things like that. This would probably fit. I don't think I would want to do any batoning with this. It's thin. It's not particularly strong. I would not want to baton with this at all. I think you'd be very likely could either damage the tip or even possibly bend the blade. It's just not very thick. And it actually has I can actually get a little flex in there without putting the knife in danger. But yeah, I would not want to do any batoning with this. However, it is a very pretty knife, and the sheath is quite attractive and useful. You got that hanging off it, that dangle like that. Quite useful. So this has been the Brusletto Hunter Model Puukko. I think it's very cool, and I'm glad that it is part of my collection.